This is the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, day 2, Kitzur Yomi, as we continue. Perek Aleph, Sif, Hey. And we again thank the Art Scroll that has allowed their edition to be made available to everyone. That is the edition that you see on the screen, a free download from artscroll.com. Continues the Kitzur, Mefshel Ahashkim Lokam B'chatzais Halayla. It's possible one to rise early, B'chatzais Halayla, midnight, Lasais Oz Tikkun Chatzais, to perform then Tikkun Chatzais, which is the appropriate time to mourn the Chorban Matayv. That's incredible. K'moishen Emar, as the pasuk in Eicha says, Kumi Raini Ba'alayla, the Rosh Hashemay, get up at night. K'moishen Kadosh Baruch Hu Mekoinin Beis, just like Hashem, at that moment is Mekoinin, he laments his destruction of the Chorban of the Beis Hamikdash. And Emar, Hashem Mimaron Yishag, Hashem cries out from a high, Mivan Kacha Yitin Kailai, from up high he gives his voice, Shag Yishag Al Leveu, cries out over his destroyed palace, Vaimer, and he proclaims, Oi Libanim, woe is to my children, Shabavanasinu, Shabavanaseihem, excuse me, Charafti is basically due to their Averos, I've destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, Esrafti is a Chali, and I've destroyed my Beis Hamikdash, Veklesi Lebeinu Uman, I exiled them from among the nations. So as Hashem is Mekainen, it's befitting for one, if they're able to, the practice of Sadiqim, to get up in the middle of the night and do the same. If it's impossible, then he's Kabrakon Lakim Kodim Alisa Shachar. Should get up before Alais, Kamisham David Alavashalom, as David Amelech said, Oira Shachar teaches David Amelech that I will awaken the morning. Not that the morning awakens me, says David Amelech, but rather, I will awaken the morning. Ani me'oirer es hashachar. I will get up. Ve'in hashachar me'oirer, see in the morning will not awaken me. V'gam la'achar chatzais halayla. And even after chatzais, yachol la'asais tikkun chatzais, explains the Kitzur, you're able to do tikkun chatzais, even after chatzais, just at chatzais is the greatest time. But at any point afterwards, until Aleisa Shachar, one is able to still do Tikkun Chatzais. And what do you do after Tikkun Chatzais? Yasek Ba'Taira, you learn Taira, Ish Kefi Yachaltai, each person as much as he's able to. And explains the Kitzur of what should one learn. For sure, Mishnayis, Kodim L'Choldavar, first comes in Mishnayis, Ba'adei Zeichel Neshama. As we all know, Mishnah's Isis Neshama, so many famous lines we're going to see here in the Kitzur. That Mishnayis is the same letter as Neshama. So number one, you want to elevate your Neshama, you learn Mishnayis. Ve'inei Barachi, you're not able to learn Mishnah, Yasik Ba'Tilim Amadas Sifrei Moser. You should learn Tilim, Amadais, or Sifrei Moser. And the Kitzur says the critical line. It is better a little bit kavana meharbois beloy kavana line. We have to always repeat to ourselves, especially when it comes to tefillah, a little bit, but have intent. Tani Rabbi Chia Kolaisik Bater Balayl. You learn at night. Shechina Kenegdoi. The Shechina is opposite him. Shenemar Kumirani Balayl the Rosh Hashemay Shevchi Kamayim Libech Nechach Bnei Hashem. And Pirush explains the Kitzur. Shashchina he az kenegdech, because at night the Shechina is opposite you. Shekolaisik Bater Balayla. Nikri, you're called an Eved Hashem. An Eved Hashem, as we saw, as over here in note number 26. The article points out back from Sif Beis that we learned that the purpose of it all is to serve Hashem. Moshe Kasav, as David HaMelech in Tilim teaches us, Kolavdi Hashem, Hashem B'leilois, all the servants of Hashem who stand in the house of Hashem at night, and we'll get to here again in Simin Ayin Aleph. B'leilois like Sarim, we're coming into the winter. But what about in the summer, when the nights are shorter? Sheyav Shaloi Lahashke Kolkach. Of course, they used to go to sleep and they were totally in the sunrise, sunset. So if it's a short night, you can't get up so early. In the winter, when you go to sleep early because there's no lights, then it's easy to get up early. But in the summer, is at the very little, you should get up. And of course, we shouldn't get lost in Sifhei's Sidkis. Sifhei teaching us Tikkun Chatzais, these incredible mailas, but let's at least walk away with this last line. We always have to get up with how much time? Said the Kitzur. Time lahochin es atzmai, to prepare yourself. And Moshe Feinstein would famously say, of course, if you're going to have a coffee, you have enough time to use the bathroom afterwards, etc., etc. Something that we certainly have to be on top of. We continue with We continue with Sif Vav Mizmari Tehillim. Says the Kitzur Kapitlach of Tehillim V'chein Shar Parshiyos Mitayra Nevi'im Uksuvim and other parshiyos of Nevi'im and Ksuvim. She'ein and Shigum B'Piyah Kol Amar Bal Peh. The people do not know them by heart. You should not say them Bal Peh. And even if you know it Bal Peh, you should be careful. So Lamar Bal Peh should not say a Bal Peh. V'suma mutter, a blind person is mutter. Halacha, one has to be careful of that. One should not be just repeating psukim. You end up messing up psukim. You end up saying psukim incorrectly. Teaches the Kitzur. You got to be careful that you only say psukim Bal Peh if they're mamish shagur bipif. And we continue, we conclude is Siv Perek Aleph with Siv Zayin. Yeshlim Chais, one should protest, but I'm Tchinish Ramadais, one who says Tchinais after Mamadais, Shemisaimim. And what do they conclude with? Baruch Ata Hashem Shemea Tfilah. Ella, rather, what should one say? Yeshleimar, one should say Beloy Shem. They should not say Baruch Ata Hashem Shemea Tfilah. Obviously, they would say with the Shem Hashem. Quoting the Taz, we should not add in the Shem Hashem unnecessarily, and rather one should say without the Shem Hashem if you want, but rather Baruch Atah Shemeya Tefillah. And from here we move on to the second parak. The second parak here in Kitzur, and today we're going to take it all the way to Sif Daled here in the second parak. Says the Kitzur, Lafisha Adam, Kasher kama mimitase shachris. Because when one gets up in the morning, hukamai bria chadasha, the Kitzur right away giving a one reason for Netilas Yadaim, because you're a new creation, lavoidas habayir yisbarach shemai, l'chein therefore sarach liskadish liyadam and akli. You have to sanctify yourself from washing from a kli, kamay akayin shemekadish yadav b'chol yom and akir kaidim avadasa before his avodah. Tzamach l'netila zoom in amikra, and there's a smach for this in the pasuk in Tehillim shenem erachat v'nikayin kaba v'seves mizach Hashem lashmiya b'kol taida. Which this is an incredible realization. You wake up and we all know about Netilas Yadaim, but the Kitzur reminds us it's because you're Bria Chadasha, number one, and number two, realize your daily work is like the kayin in the Beis Hamikdash. Reason number one. Is another reason. Because when one is sleeping, your neshama leaves you akadaisha. Your ruach hatoma comes and rests in your body. When you wake up, the ruach hatoma leaves, and it leaves from everywhere, aside for chutz, aside for where min ha'etzba'isav, aside for from your fingers. She'enai oivein me'aleim, that the ruach hatoma does not leave from ad sheshevach aleim shalosh pamim, until one pours onto himself 3 times mayim biseirugin, till he pours 3 times water, in the alternating fashion. Continues the Kitzur, v'aser leilech arba amois. One is not let it go arba amois. One is not let it walk 4 amois b'li netilas yadayim without washing his hand. Unless it is a large tzarech, and of course this is where it comes from, that one of course should either have a sink within dalet amois of his bed, or this is why people have negel vaser right next to the bed. Of course, which means you really have to use the bathroom, etc. We'll just mention the shita that holds that many are make alike, that if one has a that the whole house maybe is called dalet amois, is something that some are makel upon, but definitely it's something to keep in mind that at the first available opportunity, one should certainly be washing his hands. Continues the Kitzur, Yalbish Malbish Arisha, and the first thing you should put on is Satal Sakatan. Why? You don't walk down the without tzitzis. If you're getting up right away, and you're right away putting on your tzitzis, but you don't wash your hands yet, so at this point, lo yivarich alav, you're not going to make a bracha on it. And again, Art School here does an incredible job in filling us in with the shita of the Mishnah Brura. The Mishnah Brura teaches that you first wash your hands, and then you put on the tzitzis. and we'll get with the bracha later on. Lemaisa, we'll just point out, either is perfectly fine. And a line you'll hear many times, one could always be semach on the kitzur. Often the minhag is more like the Mishnah Berurah, but it's definitely something. Sometimes one goes and he right away wants to wash his hands. He doesn't end up putting on his tzitzis for 20 minutes, and he's losing all those mitzvahs, so one should be cognizant of such. Sif Dalet, Netilas Yadaim Shachos Ukeder Chazeh, how? Netilas Yadaim Biyanim Minoi, says the kitzur, you take the kli with your right hand, and you put the cleave in asalis small, you give it to your left. And then you pour it on your right hand first. You pour it, take the cleave in your right hand, small. I think everyone knew that. The one detail maybe one did not know is that you first pick up the kli with your right hand, then you give it to your left hand, and then you pour it on your right hand. You don't right away pick it up with your right hand. Some Al Kabbalah do it an extra time. You should do it until your wrist. It's enough until the knuckles that join to your palm. Of course, like we know on Yom Kippur, that's the minimum you have to watch until. Continues the Kitzur. There's another halacha. You should wash your face. Keep it telling the Kim also Saddam. You should wash out your mouth. The saliva inside of it. You say Hashem's name. You want to clean out your mouth. You dry your hands. And you should dry your face well. The realization, everything is avodas Hashem. The mere washing off her face, washing out her mouth. What are we doing? We're doing it so we can say the Shem Hashem. We conclude with Siftal and Sarklita Yod of Dafkul Tekli into a kli, into a basin. We don't want to, you not get benefit from that water. And you should pour it onto a place that people do not pass by. And again, the note 16 here just points out that you shouldn't pour it onto the floor, as people would commonly do back Bisman of Chazal. We stop over here and B'siyata D'Shemaya. Pick it up from Sif in the next year, Amirza Hashem.